It's now time for Caged Minds Fight Hour on ESPN Radio 1017 The Team with Mika Frankl, keeping you up to date with everything in the world of combat fighting. This is where combat sports lives. And now, here's Mika Frankl.
Morning, Albuquerque. Welcome to Caged Minds Fight Hour. Mika Frankl, ESPN Radio Albuquerque 1017 The Team. Visit cageminds.com. Last weekend, ridiculously busy from UFC to PFL to BKB, BKFC. I was out at Overtime Bar and Grill for the Nowhere to Run kickboxing series. Our friends at Duke City Championship Wrestling put on another event. There were combat sports and entertainment just everywhere. Today, the UFC is back at the Apex. Lightweight teammates from Florida, American top teams, Renato Moicano and Chris Duncan in the main event. So yes, Paramount, Apex Fight Night tonight. DAZN, Misfits Boxing, Derek Chisora, Deontay Wilder, one heavyweight's last stand. So again, a lot going on this weekend, including locally, Legacy Boxing Promotions. The Legacy continues 3. Couple weeks ago, you heard from him right here on Caged Minds Fight Hour. Abraham the Hammer Pettis back in the main event, and recent guest to My Fight Show, which you can see the live stream every Tuesday across the Caged Minds social media. We had Josh Bipple Torres this week. A couple weeks ago, we talked to Christian Cabral. Both going to be involved in that card, Embassy Suites. So later today, you guys can get out and check out live and local boxing. Now, talking about boxing, we have a local fighter in here. It's been a while since we've had her in. And of course, we had her drag Coach Rosales in alongside. These two world travelers who for some reason caused trouble all the way from Albuquerque to Egypt have now set their sights on Denmark in May and conquering women's boxing. Katherine Renee Lindenmuth, our main guest this morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Feeling great.
Feeling great. Like, what does that mean, feeling great?
Means I feel super blessed to be here in the studio. I have a lot of energy. We're super focused, locked in. We're just ready to, get this fight camp over and done with and get to Denmark and get it done. Get another one of these beautiful beauties over here.
If you guys are seeing the video on YouTube, Caged Minds Combat Sports News, it's courtesy of Robbie Ray Media. And of course, we had Katherine bring the belts in, put them on display. Champs, you got to bring in the belt. You got to carry them around. You have to live that championship life. I had everybody in the studio wondering if we brought in a musician earlier because you have the appropriate cases for them. And it looked like we might have had a trumpist walking in studio.
Right. I had two deal or no deal cases. Could have had a lot of money in those, which these are worth it.
Deal or no deal. See, I didn't even get that one. Coach Rosales, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, thank you.
What is it like going around the world right now? You've done it before, but you're doing it again as a coach in a corner.
Oh, it's pretty exciting. I'm super happy that Cal gets this opportunity, and we also get to fight out in New Mexico and go for her dream. That's what we're shooting for, her world championship, the third belt, and then hopefully we like to step in the ring and fight Gabriela Bandera. That's our goal.
Coach is like, it's pretty cool. Nonchalant. I'm like, can somebody get him some coffee, wake him up in here? That sounds awesome what you guys are doing. I mean, this is exciting. It's not everyone that we've had locally. I mean, shout out to Jason Sanchez, Jose Luis Sanchez. We've had people breaking out, traveling the country for big fights. And you guys are on that level now with Angelo Leo, shout out to the world champion, and Brian Mendoza, literally trying to conquer the entire world and setting travel and taking on all these wild challenges.
Yeah, I feel so humbled to be kind of, listed next to them because, they've done it. They've gone big. We've watched their fights. It's so exciting, just for me to be able to go across the world. It's such a blessing. I'm looking back. If I could have seen this now, I wouldn't have seen it. It's pretty exciting. I cannot wait to get on another plane.
We got a lot of topics to hit on this morning, so we're going to have to move quickly. Katherine, can you believe that you're doing this? Can you believe that it's reality, that when you said, hey, I'm going to go back to Coach Rosales' gym after so many years away and I want to hit something again, that it would turn into this journey?
I honestly couldn't have thought it. I just know I went back. I said, I want to get back in shape. We had a good relationship before. When I was a teenager, I worked hard in his gym. coming back and really finding like a love for it. And I told him I want to fight, and he's all, this is what it's going to take. And I locked in, and we just got set. I couldn't have seen it, but man, I'm so glad. I'm so happy I did it.
You have this conversation with Katherine, what it's going to take to fully get in shape and then actually compete and be a fighter. Are you surprised at the commitment, the dedication, and where it's led to?
Oh, no, not at all. I think, Katherine, she's old school. So she was for the transition was so easy because her being an athlete all her life, it just came natural. And for her to want to put 100%, no, let's say 150% to train and do whatever I ask her to do, and she just does it. So that's the benefit for her, that she allows herself to go beyond the grit, so.
Going
blessing.
On the grit. What do you think that means? So
I've explained it a couple times. I've spoken at a couple different areas with students, and I grit can, a lot of people look at it and think of just, survival. I think it's basically just going against the grain. Like I have a lot of abrasion that's happened in my life, and I want to step above it. I'm not comfortable where I'm at. I want to push past it. I want to be further than what I could even think. Like, you got a ceiling, you got to break through it. So I'm a firm believer in you practice how you want to perform, and you even practice harder than you think you can perform, because sometimes that performance will fall a little short from your practice. That's why you want to work harder. So I always push myself the hardest I can to get to get the most endurance I can out of practice. I just work really hard.
At what point did it go from getting in shape to, okay, I'm full blown, I'm a pro boxer, I want to go try to win a world title? When did that conversation with the self or that realization happen?
To be honest, I had started going back February of 2020 when COVID hit, the craziness. We had a couple months out of the gym. That's when I wanted to be fit. I wanted to come back in. James had just passed away. I wanted to get back into something positive and do something good, get back in shape, feel good about myself. It was a hard time for me. And it was my birthday. It was July. And I looked at Coach and said, I want to fight. And he kind of looked at me like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, I'm very sure. So when he told me this is what it's going to take, I locked in, and, we were set to fight. I want to say that November. We were wanting it, but amateur style here, there's just not a lot of people at my age, at the weight I'm fighting at, to fight me. So we didn't get to start my amateur career until March, May. It was Golden Gloves. Like, my first fight was regionals and Golden Gloves. And as exciting to be able to go to nationals, that was amazing. My second fight was nationals she was number 1 in the U.S. So, it took just that couple months of being back in to find my love and passion. And we knew about that first year and what we were looking up against when it came to amateur boxing, what was available, what was going to be, how far I could go with amateur. And we just made the decision, it's best for me and to go pro and have a better chance at winning a title. We hadn't even talked about title fights for the first year or so. Like, we hadn't talked about any of this. Nobody had offered it. It hadn't been on the mind. But after, being able to go all over and I had a 5-0 record, I was, doing, feeling pretty great. You're in that undefeated spot. We started really talking about, we need to start fighting higher level individuals. We need to start moving. So, getting fights with Yarita, with Kim Clavel, getting to go farther places, not just fight in your hometown. It really does make a difference. It changes the fighter you are and the mindset you have to have when you're going into either a local fight or a distance fight.
And not just the mindset for those, but really early on in your career, one of the more unique interviews we first off did was outside of, was it like a tea shop? I can't even remember. It was you and Amanda Lovato before fighting. I'm interviewing the two of you guys as you're trying to promote the fight together. Someone that you had sparred, then turned into an opponent. So how mentally trying was that to switch in that way, and how much did you grow from that experience?
Honestly, I have respect for any of the opponents that I get in the ring with. I feel like it takes a lot to get in the ring and do what we do. It's a crazy sport, and there's so much risk involved. It was really a cool opportunity to fight somebody that I knew, that we kind of knew each other's fighting style. We didn't want it to change the way we fought, and we definitely didn't want to change the show for everybody, because we were going to give a heck of a battle, and, we couldn't have told each other who was going to come out on top. We both thought we were going to give it everything, and it was going to have to come down to some scorecards, because, we're very, very competitive. But even when I'm going to meet my other opponents, I always bring, it's like a token of friendship. I'll bring a gift or something that means something from the U.S., from New Mexico, from us, just as like a sort of respect. Like, I respect you. Like, I know you're my opponent and you've got a fight on your hands. When that bell rings, it's on. But I respect you enough to shake your hand and stand here and say, we're doing something for women's boxing. We're making something positive out of it, because we're not going to be the last ones that go through this. We're making the way and paving those roads for the newer, the future that's coming up, the bigger, better boxers that are come out of these youth females we see coming up in amateurs right now too. So, we're paving the way, making, I think the Ronda Rousey experience of, talking a lot of dirt and getting in each other's face and making a big spectacle, it's one thing, but I have a lot of respect for my opponents, and I want to bring up boxing. I don't want to bring it down. And I think that's a good way that I felt like I've done it. But I do keep my locked in focus, and we talk about it all the time, making sure my eyes are still set and not wavering them off of, what my job is.
Katherine said she doesn't want the opponent to dictate to change her style. How thrilling and nerve-wracking is her forward-moving, kind of very attacking Mexican boxing style that Katherine implements, according to coaches? He's there sweating it out in the corner.
Well, I think she got heart. That's the biggest thing, is her heart, and she don't give up. So it just came natural to her. I mean, she is an amazing boxer. Like I said, when we first had our first interview, I told you she was my scrub fighter. She had a lot of stuff to work on. But what prevailed was her dedication and the eagerness to want to do this, So you're totally blessed. And she's 100% different fighter from the first time she fought to now. I mean, she's just like Brandy, Montoya, same thing. Brandy's a scrub, and she came up and she turned it around, and they're both hardworking fighters, and that's what makes this so experience so great with these two ladies, that they want it. They want it, and they know how to do it, and they work hard at it, and it's a blessing.
Was it in the amateurs, or did it take to the pros before you stopped asking if she wanted the fight and you just started signing her up?
No, actually, time was running out. To be honest, her age is the big factor in this. So we looked at a couple of amateur fights, and I told Kat, the only way you're going to get more fights if you want to turn pro, and your age, you're running out. Do you want to do this? And she goes, sure, I'll do this. I go, you don't have much longer to do this. So are we going to do this? And she goes, I want it. And I said, okay, let's do it.
We're talking with Katherine Renee Lindenmuth. We got Coach Rosales in studio. You guys are listening to Cage Minds Fight Hour. It's ESPN Radio, Albuquerque 1017 The Team, and we're taking the journey as they're going around the world, collecting belts, women's boxing. We got two trinkets in front of us right now. Katherine, exactly which two belts are these?
So the red and the black one is my WBA Super Flyweight Gold World Championship belt. I fought that at the weight of 115, so I went up a couple weight classes. WBA, that's one of the big four. It's when you aspire, you definitely ultimately aspire to get one of those big four. And then the blue belt is my beautiful WIBA minimum weight world gold title belt, and I won that in Thailand. So the black one I won in Egypt, and the blue one I won in Thailand. And they're both world titles. They're both extremely prestigious. I definitely respect both sanctioning bodies, and I'm just blessed to have them be a part of that group of world champions that have won them.
Thailand, Egypt, heading to Denmark to take on an Australian in May. Literally, you guys going around the world, ready to conquer all of these huge situations, these obstacles, adversities. That's a good place to go. What was Thailand like? What was that experience like? We've never got deep into that one.
Oh man, it was beautiful. I fell in love with Thailand. The people are so nice. It's beautiful. They live so much differently. I mean, it is different when you get off the plane and you got military there with big guns and you get a little put off. But when you get out there, it's beautiful. It's warm, very humid. Everybody is so kind and they just live differently. You see people sweeping the streets and keeping their area clean, something that I tell my kids to do. Keep your area clean. They just do
mother
it.
of four, hashtag boy mom over here. We didn't get into that one yet, but yeah, throw that out there.
Right? Well, you see them be so proud of their area and, they don't live lavish like we do. They live so simple and they're happy and they just take care of it. There was no homeless on the streets like where we were, and we weren't in one of the better areas. We were in kind of like a down, I don't want to say like downtown area where there was some gyms and it was just a lot of buildings, a lot of people selling stuff on the side of the street. But there was no homeless there, keeping it clean, sweeping the streets. They relished the beauty and the happiness of where they were at. It was a really, really cool thing to see. It was enjoyable. I liked to walk around and take it all in. It was cool.
You ever miss an episode of the show, guys? We have them all uploaded on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Most of the time, we're able to get them up on YouTube, thanks to Robbie Ray Media. One of his favorite places to go, Thailand. What was that fight like? Because I'm sure your opponent had a lot more experience than the paper actually reflected. So how interesting of a bout was that?
We went into it kind of, we were confident, but we're kind of in the blind. Like we can only see what's on paper, and they're Muay Thai fighters. So a lot of those fights may not even be recorded, and all her experience, she's a gym owner. We just kind of went into the part like we're coming into something we're not too sure what she's going to bring, but we know what we're going to bring. So we just stood on what I was going to put forth. It was very interesting. It was not like here. We're so structured here. They check your bags. They make sure everything you have is legit. We go in the back. We're rapping. Nobody's watching us. Somebody's drinking a Red Bull. They're wedding wraps in the back. And we're like, oh my gosh, we have no idea what's going on in the other dressing room. They have us sitting in the stands where everybody else is sitting. They have it just sitting in the back in the stands. We're just waiting to be pulled back. It was super nerve-wracking, kind of just different. And then when they pulled us down into the bottom, there's people videotaping our warm-ups. And we figured that they might have been from the other party, which they were. They were watching us warm up, ours do mitts. And it was pretty nerve-wracking, but I got in there and I hit that groove and stayed focused, locked in, and took care of business and made some really good friends because her and I still talk on Facebook. That's the camaraderie that I want to bring. Like we may be opponents and competition in the ring, but you can still stand together because we're standing for something bigger.
The opposite corner is videotaping your warm-ups. They're obviously able to game plan in a more intimate way than we ever have been able to for that one. You come out triumphant. What does that mean to you? What does that say to you? What are you thinking on the plane back?
Man, I was so happy. I slept with my belt. I had it right in my hands. I was so proud to show it off to all of the TSA agents, and they'll ask me if it's real gold, and just be like, yes. It's real gold. Just really proud that I could bring that back and held it high. And, I did that. It's that thought, like, I did that. Like, we did that. My team, we did this, We went, we accomplished. There's nothing I can't do if I set my mind to it, I can do it,
What was most crucial in that fight and getting the victory, you feel?
Honestly, it was just sticking to the game plan because we didn't know what she was going to bring out. So we needed to come out with my pressure, with my movement, the things that we had worked on. And to be honest, from what he told me, I was just really locked in on the win, and I didn't do anything he told me to do. I will say that because he'll look at you like, yep, we didn't do a couple things that we worked on, but I said I'm winning, and I went at it and I took it. I was like, I want it. I was like, I want it more. I was like, I earned this.
if you guys are watching on video, you can already see it. Coach has a bunch of towels over here. And throughout the years, I've gotten used to them. This is the first time that I think I've actually heard any of his fighters say, I stuck to the game plan. And he didn't like have a Pinocchio look on his face like they are lying to you, man. This is the first time you've actually said a fighter stuck to the game plan. Is that true?
True.
It's true. She stuck to the game plan, people. This is like a huge celebration moment. Like, we'll have an anniversary for this one for Coach later. He's like, they finally listened to me, because he always tells me the number one thing that every single fighter out of Rosales needs to work on is listen to me. And you did that.
I think that's like on every interview. Like, what do you need to do? I just gotta listen to Coach. I gotta do what he tells me to do, because he's my eyes. He sees things from the outside that I may not be seeing, because I'm so focused on being in the ring and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I have to, I have ring knowledge. I'm able to do stuff in the ring, but his eyes are invaluable. Like, I won't go anywhere without him.
Returning to the gym, amateur boxing run, professional boxing, the first big trip out of the country, Thailand. We brought up, there are 4 sons. This isn't one kid. You have 4 sons right now under the roof. You're going to school. You're working full time. There's not enough hours in the world. How do you do all this?
I just have a routine. I keep it set on, from when I wake up to when I go to bed. I have everything pre-planned out. I keep my routine, as the better I keep it to what I schedule, the better my day goes. I just make sure I have a huge calendar right now. It has our entire fight camp mapped out, and I have a separate calendar for myself, and it basically has all work, all practices, all kid stuff, all doctor's appointments, so that I don't double schedule myself. I just have to make sure I have it laid out in front of me, and I just stick to the plan. And honestly, that I have to live like that, because I have so much going on. It's hard to keep up when it's just like in constant rotation. So I have to have a calendar. I have multiple calendars.
And from what you're doing at work and at school, it's led to many other goals and the goals that you have here in boxing. How long have you been this much of a goal-oriented person? I've
always been goal-oriented. I've set my sights on something, and sometimes they're really big goals, and that's okay. It's okay to have big goals and to fall a little bit short, but, I don't count them as losses. It's only lessons to get you to a further goal. But I've always had my mind on something bigger. I'm not okay with being mediocre or in my same spot. I can't stay still or stagnant. I've got to be moving forward, like, constantly. And that means I need to be moving up, moving forward. And I'm always setting those goals.
It's like, this is really wrong, a lovable stalker. Coach is the eyes always watching you. So I gotta ask, Coach, how is it that with this full plate, Katherine's able to handle it?
Oh my God. We work around it. We improvise. We make it work for us. We definitely do. We're like peanut butter and jelly, or maybe Batman and Batgirl. I mean, we make it work. I mean,
his word is cahoots.
We're in sync. We are in sync. We are in sync.
He's like, do not get me in trouble. You're not going to have me perjured here. I am not in cahoots with you. I am not the accomplice. Coach is trying to back out hard on this one. See, there's the tell I'm talking about for Coach. You guys can see it on video. And it's the fact that this combination, you guys are still able to keep it professional and have fun, also keep it light.
Right. And, not going to lie, we have that love and hate too. So it comes and goes, but we definitely go around it. We talk about it. Sometimes, she's up here and I have to bring her down a couple of times, and it just keeps her humble. And that's where we need to be. We need to be humble, especially in this sport. This sport will make you humble. Definitely will.
Why is Coach Rosales the right coach for you?
Honestly, I feel like we've grown so much from me being a teenager just in the karate gym to amateurs to now just our coaching relationship, like with him, taking care of me. He's like my coach dad. He watches out for me, not only in the ring, but outside of the ring. We just have the ability to communicate in a way that, if we're upset about something or we don't agree to something, we can take a step back and we come back and we talk about it. And we also have, deep religious values to where, we can talk about, how what we feel is right, what we feel is honest. And he does. He keeps me humble. Like, it's having a great conversation between each other and being able to talk about stuff. Because if you can't talk about the things that are bothering you, or maybe things that are good, it's just going to put a wall. And I don't allow that wall. And I know he doesn't either. We have to keep talking. If he's upset with me, I'm going to know about it. And if I'm upset about something, he's going to know about it. And we just talk through it. Like, we don't let it stay. Like, there's no reason to stay in a point of discontent. We want to move past it because there's much more than what's going on in the moment, and we just got to move past it. And usually, we come to a solution, and it's so much better than where we were at. So I feel like it's evolved our relationship through coaching, as really keeping that communication open. And that's my coach, Dad. He will tell me like it
problems,
is.
Only solutions.
Yeah.
That's it.
Catherine returns to the gym after years away. She wants to get in shape. She feels that spark that she felt sitting ringside alongside of us for years. Shout out James Lindenmuth, sat there alongside me doing media, ring announcing for so many years. That cultivated the spark. You return to the gym. You want to get in the ring. You got to expand. You end up going into the pros. You've taken on challenges. It was like you went up like an Olympic diver to the top rung, hit that diving board, and you went in head first into this sport, taking on every challenge. So far, prosperous. We got a wild story to still get to. We've talked about Thailand. Guys, we've got to get to Egypt. This stuff is going to blow your mind before we even talk about Denmark. We're only halfway through. It's Cage Minds Fight Hour. Visit cageminds.com, and you're listening to ESPN Radio Albuquerque 1017, The Team.
Let's get back to Caged Minds Fight Hour on ESPN Radio 1017 The Team. This is where combat sports lives.
We got a big day of combat sports again today. CageMinds.com will have your UFC Vegas 115 results. We have Manolo Zenici coming out of the Jackson Wink Academy. Absolutely massive underdog feature fight here today. See if he can pull up the upset. Been one of the main training partners of Steam V Machine Garcia. Yes, our next up to probably fight for a UFC world title. You guys can see him at the White House. Don't forget about that's going to be a massive event. And we're going to have him back on this show definitely before that happens. And we have other world travelers joining us today, causing trouble globally. Coach Rosales, Katherine Renee Lindenmuth, tackling the world of women's boxing. Huge fight coming up May 16th, Denmark. Everyone, you can watch it, all you boxing heads. It's on DAZN. It's going to be live. That's the biggest platform we've got for boxing right now. ESPN is getting back in the game with MVP, but DAZN is really the home for it. So that's another pinnacle to now get to that platform. But before we get there, we talked about it many times on My Fight Show. You guys don't forget that's every Tuesday. We live stream that one across the Cage Minds social media. But for this audience, we haven't got into it. Thailand. That's great. Okay, what's up next? Oh, let's get a fight in Egypt. And then you start getting bounced around 4 or 5 weight classes. Like, where do we start with the chaos that is this story?
So it started when she reached out to me. She reached out to me socially and said, "Hey, are you guys interested in a fight?"
Your opponent?
Yes.
And this
so
is
Angelina Lucas reached out to me. She said, I'm interested in a fight, or if you're interested in joining the ring with me, that's how it's always started. If you want to share the ring with me, at 112. So it had been presented at 112 for months and months. And they finally get it together. They say, well, it'll be in Dubai. So at first it was supposed to be in Dubai. Of course, I said, let me confer with my team. And I talked to Coach, and we decided, yeah, Dubai is fine. We can definitely do that. 112, we can make that happen. Get closer to the fight, the dates start changing. They start moving the dates out. It wasn't until I want to say 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks before we went out there that the fight changed from flyweight to super flyweight. And it was me that had noticed that it was wrong on BoxRec, and they came back with, oh, somebody had already bid for that title, so we only could have the option for this title. And we had made an agreement that just because it was a 115 title, I still agreed to a 112 weight, and that we would meet at 112, but we would fight for a 115 title. And I mean, of course, that's just, out of contract agreement. It wasn't in the contract that we had originally signed. We'd agreed to that. And then when we get there, they have me sign a new contract, which is just says 115, because we hadn't re-signed anything. We hadn't re-signed anything until I want to say the night or morning before. The times were so crazy with being the time change, but it changed so much. And I mean, we talked about it like, well, is 115 that big of a deal? We're like, well, we were still willing to fight her, so 115 isn't going to be much. It's just going to give me cushion weight.
Did the fight actually happen at 115?
She weighed in higher than me, but it was at 115. Like, I came in at 112. I made sure I made my obligation, because that's what I said I was going to weigh in at, and she weighed in heavier. But the scale also didn't work. They had an incorrect ounce scale. Of course, they do it in kilograms over there, and it was incorrect. They're like, oh, well, you guys weigh close enough. We're not worried about it.
And to follow up, everybody, it wasn't just that Angelina Lucas's team was dictating the weight, the date, the location. It was also because her husband was the promoter of the bout on record, right? And the matchmaker. He was the everything for this show. And we don't have the same Muhammad Ali acts don't extend outside of America. It's kind of a wild, wild west when you leave the country for who oversees and how these things are sanctioned, just to clue everybody in. So at what point, besides all this weight debacle, do things start feeling shady, uneasy? Like, when do things feel weird for you two in Egypt, if they don't already when you're going there?
Well, we felt okay. I mean, we got in, we got to rest a little bit, got to do the weigh-ins. It kind of got a little crazy after the weigh-ins when we go over the gloves. We start with the gloves, and we have a big, crazy glove debacle. I brought a brand new set, wrapped up gloves. I brought actually two. So I brought 2 pairs of wrapped up gloves. I have my Pro Se gloves, and then I also brought the Reyes gloves. And we wanted to use the ones that matched my uniform, but we had the Reyes if they were unsure about the brand, because Reyes are a little bit more known. And we decided, we showed them those, and they said, no, we told you we would provide the gloves. Usually the promotion will provide the gloves if you do not provide them for yourself. They don't just give you gloves until you have to wear them. We never came into that issue. They don't just say, hey, you have to wear these. You get to pick the gloves you bring if you don't have your own. Normally, okay? We get there, show her the gloves, like, no, you need to use these rival gloves. They hand us a wrapped up pair. They're brand new. They're not used, but they're hard, large, oversized 8-ounce. They are not 8-ounce gloves. Like, there's no way. They're oversized rival gloves, and hers were beat up. They had a previous signature from a previous fight. You can see makeup on her gloves.
Oh, they were worn down. They were beaten
very
in.
worn. They were beaten in. You could even feel the front. I said, I don't feel that's
padding.
Fair. I was like, that's not fair. And I'm like, if you want to wear your gloves that match your uniform, I would like to wear mine. I know mine are brand new. You can feel mine if we can agree to that. And they just said, no, Rival's our sponsor. You have to wear these, or we don't get paid for their sponsorship or something. And I said, well, that you also didn't provide like duplicates of the gloves. So we're already out of what normally happens with, especially a WBA sanctioned match.
And it's a title fight.
It's a title fight. So there are rules that they knew about, and they're still not following by what's supposed to happen.
Of course. And then, like I said, I sat in, when I repped Johnny's fight for the world title, and I sat with the WBO, and they're going over the gloves. I already had the experience, but it has to come into play. And come to find out, like they said, the gloves weren't wrapped. They weren't the same type of gloves. You have your glove A and you have your glove B, and your opponent has to have the same set and the same brand. And I look at Kat and I go, this ain't right, Kat. We need to showed them that we brought an extra set of Reyes gloves, and we would like her to wear the other set that we brought, but they were persistent that they wanted to use the used set. And I go, Kat, this glove is way too small. She said, I didn't like the way the big glove felt. They felt like 14s, correct?
Yeah, they were.
Instead of 8 ounces.
Yeah.
And then we're like going back and forth, and I'm all saying, hold on. We will work with you guys. We're all about solutions. We're not trying to be difficult. You got that new set of gloves, which were the Everlast, correct? Were the Everlast for her? The ones you did like.
Her secondary was Everlast. They weren't rival. They were Everlast.
So that already is going against what they were trying to tell you.
And then I go, you know what? We're all about solutions. We're not trying to, we want to make this fight. So I said, Kat, go ahead and wear those gloves. And they flipped out. They said, there's no way we want her to wear that. And they were just as small as the Reyes gloves.
How do we get to a final agreement where you guys are able to fight that night then with this glove issue?
Well, we look at the sanctioning body, and I looked at them and I told them, this is not right. You need to call somebody. And they're like freaking out because they didn't know. They're all brand new too, right? So they call the headquarters. The headquarters comes back and says, oh no, they have to be in package, they have to be new gloves, and they have to be the same type of gloves.
So you've already now made enemies with the promotion
of course,
because you're enforcing the rules.
And that took us like, what, an hour and a half?
It was we sat in that glove, and the rules meeting was fine. Once it got to the gloves is when it started getting
whole
ugly.
Show's going on, and you guys are just arguing back and forth before getting in the ring.
And he's a big guy, so he's trying to bulldog me, and I'm like,
it was in the
he's like a bulldogger, and I'm
trying to
like,
intimidate.
I'm about ready to thumb him in the eyeball, right? But
thumb in the eyeball. Well, that's the Kaja Kimbo coming out there.
And this is the day before. So this is the weigh-ins. So it's like the weigh-ins. It's at the weigh-ins where the rules meeting happens. And there's two people. The guy that's in Egypt from Egypt, or he operates out of there. They partnered, so they had a partner. Both promotions were partnered. And he said, well, I have a big box of the same gloves that we told you we could use. And he goes, and they're right. The guy said, they are correct. You should have planned for this. You obviously didn't understand what is expected of you. We have gloves. They're all matching. They bring them out. They're wrapped. They open them. We all inspect them. I said, these are the right size. These are actually the size we're supposed to wear. I'm comfortable with this. It's not my gloves, but I'm fine with it because I don't feel like you're getting these baby gloves and I'm getting these monster 14-ounce padded gloves that they're nowhere close to where they need to be.
I had a 10 and 12 ounce debacle I'll tell you guys about later on gloves, and you could automatically see the difference in just the 2 ounces. So I understand what you guys are talking. You look at 2 ounces, that's a lot from the MMA 4-ounce gloves to the popcorn 6-ounce gloves. Now we get all of this debacle. We finally get to fight night. The video is up online. It's a little bit grainy, not the best quality, but you can see it whooping. You can see the forward pressure. You could see, I don't know if it was fully according to plan, but a lot of your best attributes came out in that fight. How did you feel about the performance, looking back to that title fight?
I felt good. The first couple rounds, we always know, is a little bit harder, a little more warm up. I've gotten a lot better with that, and it was better for this fight. But we knew the first 2 rounds were a little... I was getting into my groove, but I felt so good. We did what we practiced. Like, this is the biggest follow the game plan fight we've ever had. We knew she was going to hold me. We knew she was going to try and bite me. We knew she was going to punch after the bell and disregard what the ref said, and we knew the ref wasn't going to stop anything.
Are you sure you weren't fighting like Ric Flair, the dirtiest player in the game here? This is horrible. Sorry, continue.
We were hoping that with it being a WBA contest that it wouldn't be to that extreme, but we knew coming into it was probably going to be a lot of what she's shown before is holding and pushing and biting, and the ref tells her to stop and she bunny punches when he's already said stop. After the bell, it's strictly cheating. Like, she's doing some really dirty boxing, and if coach was saying if you want to call it boxing, but we felt good. We felt like my movement was good. I was slipping under. I was avoiding her hold. She couldn't keep me still, and she couldn't figure out why I had so much energy. And that's when after the fight she made other accusations, but if you've seen any of my fights and you know my endurance and you know what I do, I have tons of energy and I was relaxed. That whole fight, I was not stressed out. I was relaxed. We were laughing in the corner. We were talking. Like I felt so good about my performance, you know, and as an athlete, you know, when you're not tense, you do better. And yeah.
If you guys haven't seen it, the aesthetic it's incredible. Are you really seeing this? It seems like it's almost from a movie. The underdog overcomes a brilliant performance. We go to the decision, and after all of the rigging, all of the dirty play that they've had, all of the tactic that they've implemented, there is adamant disappointment and outrage when the decision is rightfully scored in your favor, to the point where you guys are having to be rushed from the ring, rushed from the venue. That leads to the accusations that you did not take a performance-enhancing drug test, which you were rushed out of the venue for your safety. They never presented you with the test. They never told you about it. They then go back on it. We now have this weird thing with the WBA got your back and they gave you the title. They recognized the victory. BoxRec, we got to get a hold of you guys. I don't know what the issue is. It still seems like, is it a loss, a no contest? They still seem like they don't agree with the official ruling of the sanctioning body. I don't understand that part, but this has been a crazy whole story that now leads to a bigger, better opportunity, a world title eliminator. We've been through a lot now, and here on Cage Minds Fight Hour, ESPN Radio Albuquerque, 1017 The Team, we are going to finally get to the upcoming fight. Linn Sandstrom and you. Huge fight. I don't know how long. I think it's been like 2 years. You've been mentioning this name to me for so long. How long have you been looking towards fighting Linn?
Honestly, you know, she's a champ. She has, you know, she's won world championship and she's had it taken away. Like she's lost it, you know, and she's one of the bigger names. And when you see those names, if you want to be the best, you have to fight the best. So, you know, it's been a long time coming and we're glad that we have the opportunity. I'm actually fighting for the belt I was supposed to fight for in Egypt.
In your weight class?
Well, it's still outside of my weight class, but at least the appropriate one. It's at 112 instead of the 115, what I was supposed to fight for. And it is a title eliminator, so they're getting rid of the interim. They're not giving out new interim titles. They are using that gold as quote unquote the interim. So that is the automatic defender, the person that will fight the world champ.
You are the mandatory if you win this fight. The
exactly.
Mandatory.
So
too many interims. That's good if just overall men's, women's boxing. We drop all the interims. You go to the gold being the mandatory. At least that makes a lot more sense. That's the opportunity. So we're still fighting up now at 112. Now, normally you want to be at 108, right?
105.
105. My gosh, 105. Okay, we are never going to get back to 105. Are you happy at 112? I guess
for this title match, this, you know, we've been looking forward to this for a while. We've been in talks about it. So for this title, absolutely, for WBA another world title, another belt on my rack, yeah, definitely. Hoping to be able to defend my WIBA. We have some big things hopefully coming with that. We're just waiting on some, you know, like confirmations and stuff, but definitely want to come back to my weight class, but I don't have any issue going up and fighting at 112.
Coach already sent me the interview. Lynn's been talking about you. She said, bigger, faster, stronger, better. How do you respond to all of those? And you could go each one individually.
Honestly, she's a champ. She's confident, but I'm going to sit here and I'm going to stay humble, but know my confidence as well. Okay. I don't think always bigger is faster, smaller, faster. And in my, you know, you can be bigger than me, but I'm going to be quicker. My endurance, she was right, is on our side. My endurance is there. She's, you know, she definitely said she was training for it. I mean, she needs to, like she has to, because this is going to be a good fight. Honestly, she's my age. I mean, she's in her 30s. She's had injuries. She's had some setbacks. She's had a loss, a devastating loss, and that took her world title. And I think that going to a little more neutral, I guess she's Swedish descent. she's going up there, but it's still more neutral. I think it's going to be a lot better on my side. And I know I want it more. I want this, and I have a lot of respect for her. She's a champ, and we know it's going to be a big, good fight. We're main event on DAZN, and we're ready to bring the action, and people are going to have something to watch for sure.
Rosales, Kachikimbo, and Karate. Been in their location in Los Lunas as long as I've known Coach, I believe. And then here in Albuquerque, they're now on Edith, in between Osuna and Montano. Funny enough, where I grew up as a kid for about 16 years. Coach, I know you're going to say, listen to me, but I need more than that. What does Katherine need to do to be successful in Denmark?
We have to be in sync.
Yeah, I mean, we can't be giving away all of our fight secrets.
I mean, we got a game plan. We definitely have a game plan, and I'm sure they do. I'm sure they're looking at video of Kat, and we're looking at her video, and we just come up with different things. But hopefully, we got a few things up our sleeve, and they come into play.
Be the best fighter of the night. Pull out. She says she's going to showcase some of her, her skills and her development. And I feel like I've developed so much more as a fighter, even fighting after fighting Angelina with all the craziness that ensued. I can only get better and follow the game plan and make sure that, I'm fighting my best fight. I can't be fighting a half of my fight. I have to do my best.
They say in sync again, and I'm going to make Robbie Ray go over to Rosales, and we're going to end up doing like a bye remake with you guys as puppets with a bunch of CGI if you guys keep trying to be in sync like that. CageMinds.com is the website. It's the latest in combat sports news. We're working hard. The video again, courtesy of Robbie Ray Media. It's CageMinds_CSN across the most of your social media to keep up with what we're doing. It's Cage Minds Combat Sports News on Facebook and YouTube. You go back on Facebook, you can see my fight show. You can see last week's Nowhere to Run 16, the amateur kickboxing event. We still have the content streaming. A bunch of live local fights coming up. The world of combat sports is busy. DAZN, May 16th, Albuquerque. You watch, you support. Katherine Renee Lindenmuth looking to take another step in conquering the lighter weight world of women's boxing. I appreciate you guys both coming on this morning. This has been Cage Minds Fight Hour. Enjoy the entertainment, guys. Keep fighting. Thank you, ESPN Radio, Albuquerque, 1017 The Team.